I want to welcome everybody to another episode of the Chosen Few podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us today, Bilal. I want to thank you for coming on to the show.
Hey, I'm excited to be here, bro.
Alhamdulillah. So a little bit about Bilal. Bilal is a writer, he's a curator, and today we're in his location, the Dykes Gallery. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Dykes Gallery?
Yeah, so Dykes Gallery is a project, a curatorial, multidisciplinary project that I started or ideated in 2020. We didn't get a physical space until the beginning of this year, 2025, but we've been working on different projects over the years, from a literary magazine to clothing to just like collaborative projects with different people, a lot of writing, a lot of literary-based work. And this year, I was able to, alhamdulillah, find a location for the gallery project, which was the initial idea in the first place. And it's been pretty much the house for all these different, projects that we're working on. And it's just this place, this like umbrella term, umbrella company, idea, whatever, that houses not only my ideas, but because the nature of my work is mostly collaborative and relies on the brains of like all these incredible people that I get to work with and be friends with, it's kind of just a place where all our ideas can kind of hopefully flourish. You know what I'm saying?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What does Dykes mean?
So deixis is a grammatical term. It encapsulates words like here, there, she, he, words that don't have a definition until you give it to it. And because the nature of my work has always been like not easy to put into a box, despite the fact that like people know me as a writer, but then it's like there's this long list of other things that different people know me for doing. I never really liked having a label. So it's like Dykes literally means this thing where the definition can always change, whatever it is.
Whatever you want it to be, whatever direction it takes.
Exactly, it's mobile. So, we're not confined. Even if we're in a space, it's like whatever idea comes up, we just run it. You know what I'm saying?
So it's a platform and a space that allows you to experiment, is what I'm hearing.
100%.
That's
exactly.
amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Well, we'll come back to Dykes, but
Sure.
before we get too deep into that, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Who's Bilal? Where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah. So I grew up in Paradise Hills. My parents are Ethiopian, Oromo. They came here in '89, and then I have about six siblings that I grew up with, and born and raised Paradise Hills in San Diego. And it was just me and my skateboard most of the time, So skateboarding is like, people ask me like who I am. It's like, one, of course I'm Muslim, and then like skate culture is kind of what brought me up. So just being able to be out and about, like all day, every day, just seeing different things, interacting with all different types of people. And it's like, it was my end to the arts pretty much. So when it comes to my relationship with fine art and writing, I kind of attribute it to my elementary education, actually, because I went to Zamorano Fine Arts Academy in Paradise Hills, and I didn't realize like then like how unique of an experience that was, because not everybody gets to have art classes damn near every day as a kid, and like this emphasis.
The exposure that gave you.
At 100%. So it's like, I'm learning about Van Gogh and Georgia O'Keeffe and like Matisse.
And you said that was elementary school?
Elementary school, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's like how I came up. And I just remember since then, like even in like second grade, third grade, I always had a pen and paper on me,
Yeah.
Like I used to be, me and my friends would like write short stories and like illustrate them ourselves and just like have them, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that idea of like creative expression has always been very emphasized in my life, and even with my family as well. Like my pops was very creative in a sense as well, like when he was growing up. And then my brother.
How so? Tell us a little bit more about that.
I wonder if he'd be cool with it, but like back then, it's like he grew up in Ethiopia, and it's like very revolutionary culture, you know.
Yeah.
So he was a musician actually for a while.
Okay.
So he played guitar and he would sing and write songs. And you know, eventually, like as he started focusing more on the deen, he let that go. But it was the same for like some of my siblings as well, and like my cousins. Like everybody kind of like touched the music, and like myself too, for a few years. And I think it was just trying to find the happy medium of like where can I reside in the arts, and like this idea of creativity while still keeping it, you know, as halal as possible. So Dixis has also been very much like holding that down for me. So
it provided you opportunity to be within the arts, but still remain in something that you feel comfortable.
100%.
That's amazing.
Yeah, something in line with my values. Yeah.
That's amazing. For those who don't know about Paradise Hills, tell us what it was like growing up in Paradise Hills.
Yeah, so I mean, when I was
and where is it? Where is it exactly?
Yeah, so it's in Southeast San Diego, and it's a majority Filipino neighborhood, but there's a lot of black people, Mexicans, hardly any white people. I mean, now it's probably changed, but it was
gentrification.
You know, yeah, I guess gentrification, but also I think there's a lot of like Navy housing over there too. You know,
okay.
So it was interesting, man. It's like it was. I mean, it was technically the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not as bad now, but there was a lot of gang violence then, and that was kind of like what I was exposed to for the most part. And I think it was a very interesting like upbringing, because you know, we have these immigrant parents who are like making sure we stay on the right path, like going to school, doing what we got to do, but being like the middle child in the family and a skater is like, I kind of like slipped under the radar in a sense. Like my parents kind of like, they were too occupied with
the older and the younger ones.
all the stuff they was going through.
Yeah.
I just kind of like, you know, they might not know, but I was the one that they needed to be worrying about, you know? So it's like, you know, a normal day would be, tell my parents I'm about to go to the skate park after school. We go to the skate park to link up, to figure out what we about to do, you know? So
yeah, that's just the beginning of the journey.
So, you know, it'd be, I don't know, somebody gonna get in a fight. Like we gotta go watch that, you know? It's like, it's just shenanigans all day, you know.
Every day something new.
Yeah, what school we about to go skate. We gotta hop the fence. Gotta run from cops. Like all these different things. So that was really interesting. But there was also a very polarized experience that I had, where in my sophomore year I went to Morris High School for my freshman year, and I ended up leaving because all my friends ended up like getting expelled, or you know, they just got into trouble. And
so you chose to leave?
I chose to leave, and I went to a school up north in like Claremont, and it was the first time I was like exposed to like just people different from me, you know. And
this is in high school?
This was in high school, yeah. So
how is that, being exposed to something completely different after living in something that you were used to and comfortable with for a long time?
It was tough at first, for sure. You walk into different environments with different people with all these stereotypes, you know, and I mean specifically like a lot of white people.
Yeah.
So at first it was a struggle of like coming out of my own shell, because I put all these walls up that I thought I needed to have, but with time it's like you realize everybody's the same, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody deals with different struggles. Like what we deal with in Paradise Hills is like, you know, it might be drugs, it might be gang stuff, but family ties are there. And in contrast, it's like they got money up there, but they struggle with family. You know what I'm saying? Like they got a lot of family issues.
So they have something that maybe you weren't used to seeing or weren't used to having, but they're missing something that you did have.
100%. And it's like, I think the more I learn about people different from me, the more I realize like we all kind of on the same, like it levels out, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to just how we live life. Like everybody got stuff that they go on.
Everybody got their struggles.
Yeah, everybody got their struggles, for real. So I think that really helped me when it came to especially with my writing and like just telling, like storytelling and understanding and being empathetic and sympathetic to people's lives, you know.
That's amazing. You said you grew up in Southeast San Diego. You went to a fine arts school, and you were very much influenced and exposed to skating culture. Can you tell me a little bit more about how all of those lived in cohesion, considering that, you know, was the neighborhood and the community that you were around growing up in, was it heavy in skating culture? You said you came from an immigrant background. Was there a lot of people from Ethiopia or Roma backgrounds that were also interested in skating? Or how did that feel with like the friend groups that you were around? Like what did you identify with the most, if that makes sense?
I was fighting an uphill battle, bro. Like that's the reality of it. Like a lot of my experience was, you know, one skating, one being in the arts. All the people that we grew up with, you know, in the East African community, they were the ones that was like, yo, like, what are you, like a white boy? Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, this doesn't fit. But as, you know, as we grew up and like as the culture changed as well, just like with social media and like, you know, all these things like Supreme and like all these big companies that have background in skateboarding that blew up, the narrative changed, you know? So like, I remember back then, it'd be like if somebody's wearing a Thrasher hoodie, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they don't skate, like we want to fight them, you know what I'm saying? Like, we want to take that, take it off, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't rep something that you're not about.
Yeah.
But now it's just widely accepted, and
when did you notice that shift? Were you still in high school? Was it before?
I'd say when Virgil came around, bro. Like Virgil and his popping off white, like his understanding of skateboarding and the authenticity that he brought to the game. It's like people saw it and took it up, you know, to a level that maybe he didn't even anticipate. But I think when it just became clear that skate culture influences a lot of different things, I think people started to recognize it and put some respect on it. So it was something that I always knew, like skateboarding and art always went hand in hand, because skateboarding is about freedom, you know what I'm saying? Like you can, you know, style is a specific element of skateboarding that is very important. Like people watch skaters, they might not even be looking for the tricks, they just want to see how you look on a board, you know? Like they just want you to make it look cool. And
there's a level of fashion involved.
Exactly. And fashion, especially that. Like, you ain't got to wear no uniform, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get to dress up however you want. And, you know, you dressing up for the clips, you know what I'm saying? You got to get the clip. You got to get the clip.
If you're going to do something crazy on camera, you want to look good doing it.
Yeah. 100%. So that was always, there's so many different ways of expressing yourself, whether it's, you know, you get a new board, what are you going to put on your grip tape? You know, like, you got to customize it. You got to draw something on it. You got to tag it up. You got to, you know, you just got to make everything pop, you know, somehow. So I went from like skateboarding to arts, and then also with the fine arts, there's a lot of like persistence that comes into play. You know, if you want to follow whatever it is, your passion, you know, you're gonna fall a lot. You're gonna fail a lot, and you gotta get back up. And that's all skateboarding is. You know, like, it just teaches you persistence, because, you know, I didn't know how to ollie, I didn't know how to kickflip, but, you know, consistency, and then you get it, and it's just you got to get back on it and keep doing it every single day. Yeah.
Do you feel? I really like that point that you just made about the lessons that you took from skateboarding and involving them in the arts and other things that you're trying to do. Do you feel like that's something that you noticed automatically, or it's something you realized later on in life that the lessons that you learned from skating are the reason that you're willing to, you know, express yourself in certain ways or experiment with certain things? Did you make that connection right away, or is that something that you realized later on?
Yeah, I think I realized it later on. The more like I would watch like a lot of interviews with skaters who have become pro and like gone on to do, you know, a lot of entrepreneurial stuff, and you know, when they retire or like move on from skateboarding, that's always a value that they impress upon, and it's something that was just inherent, but I didn't realize, you know, that's kind of what it gave me. And whenever I do feel down about something that I'm trying to get through, I'll remember, like, skateboarding taught me it's always possible. You might just have to, you might have to pivot like a little thing. You might have to put your foot like this.
A little bit to the side.
Yeah, a little bit to the side, and then you got it.
Small changes.
100%. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. Do you feel like with the culture that you were experienced with the skating world and skating culture, you said if someone was in a Thrasher shirt, you guys would want to beat them up and take it off of them.
Yeah.
How did that feel when Virgil came along and, that kind of culture was exposed to the masses? And you started to see other people who maybe were not familiar with it or were not skating all of a sudden doing the things that felt very authentic to you. Was that a challenging thing to experience? And tell me a little bit about that.
Hey man, it's still challenging, bro. Yeah, like the homies, the homies who are like heavy into fashion, they'll claim skateboarding now, even though they never grew up skating. And I'll press them about it, but it's all kind of jokes. But I do feel it, in my heart. It's like, there's a little truth to this, bro. Like, because it was a time it wasn't cool, It was a time where, the perception is just, we're degenerate. Like that's what people expected of us, and now it's just taken more lightly, and people are more understanding. And I almost don't feel like I would have preferred that. I think I like the idea of like, you kind of have to fight against, you got to go against the grain. And there's something very like, I guess, empowering about that, especially when you can make something of yourself, Yeah.
You said a lot of people, like your family or people from the community, would say, this is something that white people do and things like that. Growing up, and you also said you were in a neighborhood where there was very few white people, so it's not like you were around a lot of them growing up as well. What gave you the ability, or what interested you to try something that was different? Because you said the community you grew up in was not really doing that. Ethnically speaking, your background and your family's background is not doing that. Yeah. So what made you want to kind of get exposed to that and get into that while you were younger? And how old were you when you got into it?
I think I first got a skateboard when I was like maybe 8 years old. And then it wasn't until I was like 13 that I really, like there's a skate park right next to my house. So that's when I started going there a lot. But I think it's, the way I kind of explain it to myself now is because I grew up like the middle child, it was like the stereotypes of the middle child is very real, where you're kind of like, you're just one, like a mediating force in things. Like it's kind of in the family dynamic, I kind of have to play like a lot of different roles, and I always had this thing within me where it's like I want to make myself an individual as well, like I don't want to just be this thing that
you want to stand out.
Yeah, I want to stand out, because that wasn't really how it was in my family. And like now, especially with Dykes, it's like, I guess one of the mottos that we go by is everything unorthodox. So it's like, whatever they doing, like we're gonna do something different. And I kind of just took that to heart. I don't really know where I got it from, but I think I just kind of like didn't like the idea of anybody like telling me what was right or what I had to do. I really took skateboarding seriously when I remember I joined the basketball team at my middle school, and I went to our first practice when we were scrimmaging against the female basketball team, and they were cooking us. Right? So we getting cooked, and I'm getting pissed, bro. Like they're not passing me the ball, like this and that. And I remember like they stole the ball from somebody and then laid it up, and I just cursed,
Yeah.
And my coach heard me, and he's like, "Go run the lap."
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. So I start running the lap. Halfway through, I'm like, yeah, I can't do this, bro.
I'm not
literally
coming back.
halfway through the lap, I literally finished the lap, grabbed my stuff, and left immediately.
Didn't even come back to the game.
Back, yeah. And
you never looked back.
Never looked back, bro. So I think that's a lot of it, like just that sense of like freedom and like just following your heart. You know what I'm saying?
That's
I think
amazing.
that's where it comes from.
You said a little bit about being the middle child and how you kind of felt like you were the balancing act, you know, between those that are older than you, those that are younger than you. A lot of times in immigrant families, there's large families. You know, I think you said you have 6 siblings. Can you tell us a little bit more about growing up in like your family and kind of that experience, what it was like for you, and also what role your community specifically plays in your current identity and your identity growing up?
Yeah, so I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and you know, this, I don't know if this is gonna have to be cut out, but like my oldest brother, you know, he was you know, he's a very different person now than he was when we was growing up. And I remember he was kind of, you know, he was like the trouble child, you know what I'm saying? Like firstborn, like just kind of giving my parents a bit of a hard time. And
Was he born here or he was born?
He was born here, yeah.
Okay.
And you know, I kind of look to him for a lot of inspiration. Like he's a big inspiration of mine. I mean, all my siblings, but you know, especially my oldest brother. And he kind of went down this route of like, you know, bit of gang stuff. He was rapping. He was doing all these different things, and I would kind of like take from that and kind of like try to make it my own in a sense. And you know, whether I knew it or not back then, it was like I was kind of feeding off of him a lot. And so when he kind of like turned his life around and became much more like oriented in the deen and like started studying and, you know, really just changing his approach to life. I looked at that as like a big like, I guess, a sign that you could change, you know, if you want to. And I think, can you circle back the question one more time?
Yeah, I was basically saying like growing up in a family with like 6, you know, siblings and being like from an Ethiopian background, Oromo background. What role did that play in your identity growing up? And then also what role does it play now?
Okay. To be honest, I think I distanced myself from it a lot. Yeah, at the time, because you know, there's a lot of stuff about, you know, our culture that just like little things. You know, everybody kind of scrutinizing every little thing you do. That
in your business,
yeah, just that I still struggle with. You know, like when I dye my hair, you know what I'm saying? Like, fam, I can't get through the day without somebody like coming at me. So it's like just little things like that I never really liked. But so I think it kind of pushed me in the direction of doing everything that I shouldn't have been doing for a while. And so it kind of led me down a lot of roads.
So you kind of were going away from it,
I was going away from it, yeah. Like I was going away from it. I was going against it, like almost intentionally.
And what were you going towards when you were going away from it?
You know, I think I did go down the music rabbit hole for a bit. You know, I was rapping, I was singing, I was taking it very seriously as well. Like I didn't want to go to college. I just wanted to make music. And it was going well for a bit, but you know, there's just all the things that come with it. And so I kind of fell into, you know, all the whatever it may be, you know. So I fell into all the vices and stuff for a little bit and just found that there's nothing really good on that side for like me, because it's like, you know, grow up praying 5 times a day. You know, there's always something that's holding you down, and there will always be that reminder that, you know, you can live the life you want. It's just you got to keep it balanced and like, you know, as clean as you can. So it was only when I decided to also make that change because I saw my brother, you know.
How old were you at the time?
I think I was maybe like from like maybe like 19 to 21, 22, I was making music. And I remember I had this big performance coming up where I managed to be making music without my brother ever knowing. Like my whole family knew, right? Yeah. My brother was living in Minneapolis.
The older one.
Yeah, my oldest brother. He was living in Minneapolis. And so like he's not on social media or nothing. Like,
so you kept it low key from him.
I kept it low key from him. You know, my parents knew, but they just like, you know, try and get out as soon as possible, you know? So I had this big performance coming up, and my cousins and my brother-in-law from Minneapolis and Colorado, they were coming to SD to see me perform, right? So they happened to stop in Minneapolis first, and they go to my brother's crib to just say what's up. And he's like, and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to San Diego. He's like, what for? And they're like, oh, we're going to see Bilal perform. And he's like, what?
Perform? What's he performing?
Yeah. So I remember that, like, right before I'm about to go to my performance, I just see it, like, I get a phone call and I see his name. I'm like, all right. Like,
I know what this is.
I know this is it, right? I pick it up. He's just like, yo, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm already knowing, bro. And he's like, all right, like, cut it, like, ASAP.
Yeah.
I'm just like, all right, bet. And I think just from that experience, like, I realized sometimes you just gotta hear something from the right person, you know, like, like my parents told me, like other people told me, but it wasn't until he told me that I literally went to that performance and, like, gave it all I could, and I was like, all right, that's a wrap, you know, after that. So I think just with the family dynamic and, like, you know, the culture, there's a lot of things that hold you down. It's just you're not gonna realize when you need to really tap back into it. So, like, I think just with time, it's like the more you go away from it, you know, the pendulum swing is like you're gonna have to come back at some point to ground yourself. And now I think I take what makes sense, and, you know, I leave what I don't like. So, you know, I still dye my hair, but when they tell me, it goes one ear out the other.
Yeah. So you move in a way where you feel comfortable from, like, a moral and ethical sense, but it still may not be fully accepted from community or cultural norms.
Yeah. And I will say, like, when it comes to, you know, Oromo and, like, East African cultural norms, I don't take it as seriously as I do the deen, of course. You know,
of course, yeah.
So it's like, if something's haram,
it's black and white.
Yeah, it's black and white, but I'm taking it. You know, like, I'm gonna try my best.
There's nothing to say about it. Yeah,
100%. So, but if you're telling me something else, like, oh, this is how we do it in our culture, you know,
I got a different culture.
Yeah, it's cool. You know, yeah. So that's where I'm at now.
What role did the deen and faith play in your journey, growing up, but then also as you matured and where you are now?
Alhamdulillah, like, my parents raised us, like, making sure we prayed 5 times a day and, you know, learned Quran, but there wasn't much, like, outside of that, like, that we were learning. And, you know, we went to Islamic study school and all that, but I think it just didn't really penetrate as much. And I realized, like, there's the fundamentals that whether you realize it or not, it'll hold you down, you know, through whatever you're going through. And it really showed me, especially at the time when I was, you know, just very antithetical to everything that, you know, Islam and my culture represented, just going against it. You know, whether I chose to or it was subconscious, I'd experience all the bad things, you know, all the negative things, whether it's depression or, like, you know, just feeling like, you know, you don't really have a grip on what's going on in your life. And it wasn't until I went down that path that, you know, unfortunately, I had to, like, burn myself. Yeah, hit the road bumps. Like, you know, I had to put my hand on the stove. And I think now it's nice to know that, you know, there's nothing really greener on that side. And now I just try and, you know, stay true to my values and, you know, Islamically, and then whatever it is that I am inclined towards, if there's certain things that, you know, don't align with the religion, then I'll try and make sure that, you know, I can fit it in somehow. So, like, for example, here at the gallery, you know, there's this idea of, you know, how iconography comes into play when you're displaying, like, photos or paintings, you know, in your space or, like, in your house. And, you know, you can't really make figures that have, like, eyes or like things that will resemble the creation of Allah, you know? So, you know, one of the rules at the gallery is, you know, we don't show faces and you know, work. So at first, you know, you think, how am I going to do that? Like, you know, it's going to be difficult, but it's like, you hadith always says, like, if you if you give something up for the sake of Allah, like He's gonna replace it with something better. Yeah. So it's like He'll always make an easier way for you when you're trying to adhere to His law. So I've only found that I've only found it working when I try to stay true, and when I try to go
make that
against
sacrifice.
it. Yeah. When I try to go against it, it's the hardest experience of my life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful, bro. How has writing and overall just curating played a role in your ability to express yourself in a creative and artistic way, while still remaining true to your moral compass?
Mm-hmm. One thing that I kind of like get fueled by is just meeting all types of people and kind of like just having really good like one-on-one connections with people of different backgrounds and ideas and like whatever they may bring to the table. Like I kind of, it helps my writing because if I'm telling stories, like I need to understand people and their backgrounds. But that's always been something that I was very inclined towards, which is just being acquainted with like eccentric individuals. I always, even in like skateboarding, I'd always be skating with people who, I'd be at the skate park and they're like, yo, what are you doing with this guy? Like, who is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, just because there's, everybody has their impressions of people. And I think I've kind of learned how to connect with people on a very personal level. And when it comes to curating, that's kind of what helps me do a good job of that, because a lot of it is making sure that you're representing the artist in the most authentic way possible. And when you're able to connect with people on a deep level, then it makes that job much easier. And one, it's fueled my writing because I get to learn all these interesting stories from people, and I'll make stories of it myself. Like I'll fictionalize their experiences and kind of implement it into my own stories. But it's just this level of like humanity and like connection that really comes into play. Like before any of the art and curating, it's just very human in a sense.
What are some of the forms of writing that you are into and that you've experienced?
So growing up, I think I was mostly doing poetry and essay writing, because I think with music, one, it was like music kind of seamlessly transitioned into poetry off the bat. So like when I was trying to get off of music,
poetry was the natural
right
and landing point.
right. And I remember there was a period where like I would use like instrumentals to write the poems. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't
think I've heard that one before. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like I'd write. They'd be verses. You know what I'm saying? But then I just like
remove it at the end.
Remove it at the end. Yeah. But with the essay writing, it's like as I started to be more critical of like just all the different things that I was learning and like just growing older. It's like there's different things that I want to be talking about, whether it's deen related or like relationships, all these different things that we're experiencing every day. So essay writing is something I fell into just to kind of get the ideas out and I guess make a statement and like say what it is that I want to say and like share with people, especially stuff that I learned. So I did that for a while, and now I'm doing much more fiction and screenwriting because one, I think everybody is talking a little too much. Like with social media, it's like everybody got a take. So it's almost like what good is my essay writing gonna do, or like where can that reside comfortably, and so I always go back to this quote that my boy Jay Lee from the Bay. He's also a writer, and he told me this quote that goes, "You read nonfiction to remember, but you always forget. And you read fiction to forget, but you always remember." So it's like this idea of like you kind of go to stories and like, you know, these fictional experiences kind of to escape, but those stories are what sticks with you, and like you learn from those. You know, even with the Quran and like stories of the prophets, it's like it's not fiction, but they're stories, and the way they're told is like very, very like, you know, interesting and captivating,
engaging.
Yeah, engaging, and like I don't think there's a day in my life where I don't return to those stories and like use it as a guidebook, you know. So now I'm at a point where fiction is kind of what makes most sense, because there's almost like more truth to the fiction, because you're able to put the things that you want to say into the story without like having to actually experience it. Like it doesn't have to be true in real life, but at the end of the day, it is, you know. So I do a lot more of that now, and then screenwriting is the one place that, you know, I can exercise all my interests in the same place, you know, when it comes to film. So visually, you know, so, what is it like? I mean, if we're using music, you know, like musically, and then you know, just kind of the connection with humans and like bringing the emotions out and like just exploring what all the different facets of like experience of human experience, you know. Yeah.
How big is a human experience for you, considering you have a, you know, in-person space? You know, I feel with social media and with like the times that we're in right now, people are really much secluded, you know. They're more connected than they've ever been, but they also are not connected in a physical sense. Right. So what role does human experience play for you, and how much does it mean to you?
It's a big deal, man. It plays a huge role, especially in what we're doing right now, because one thing that people seem to be craving right now is exactly that. Like they just want connection, and like, you know, there's that buzzword of community that keeps coming up everywhere you go, and I'm really trying to really like tap into that, because one, I spent a few years kind of just in my shell, like just kind of putting my head down, working on what I wanted to work on, but it wasn't as fulfilling as it was, you know, when I was really curating and doing things with people. Like the work that I needed to work on would come out more naturally when I was in the environments of people who were constantly creating things. And so I moved back to San Diego about a year ago, and I knew that one, I needed to break out of that shell and like reconnect with the community that kind of helped build me. And since then, like it's been a wonderful experience. Like I keep telling people when they ask me about what it's been like, I feel like I'm like a traveler, but I'm at home, because it's just so like every day is new, you know. Like you think you figured your city out, but there's always something out there. There's always something new, and I've been able to one, like experience that for myself, but seeing other people kind of take from it and like be in the space. And you know, like we have these weekly meetings that we do where it's like a refuge for people now, you know. Like they come here knowing that, you know, whether they had a good or bad day, they're gonna be able to connect with people on a human level, and like even if they don't know each other, there's like it's like a safe space, you know. And we just kind of fuel off of each other. Like there's so many cool projects that are coming out just from the people that keep seeing each other and like keep engaging with each other. And
what
like,
comes out of it?
Yeah, like for example, there's this guy named Arthur who heard about what we're doing, and he started coming like every week. And since then, he's, you know, everybody leaves with new ideas every time they come. So he had this idea to start a public university where he just like kind of taps in people who are good at what they do and have them lead a free class or workshop on something. So he just like launched that. He's like in his first semester. He's got a bunch of cool classes. Like he has a walking architecture of San Diego class where people go to different locations in the city and observe the architecture. He's got a writer's workshop that he's running. He's got some like a AI maintenance class, like learning how to deal with AI in the changing world.
Exposing people to different things.
Exactly. So
And that was built from the human experience and coming together.
Yeah, 100%. And there's like a sense of reliance, you know, where you might, if you're by yourself, if you're in solitude, like you have an idea, but you're also stuck with the ideas as well as the doubts.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come to a place and you express it and people, you know, support it and help you get through it and help you figure it out. Oh, you're working on this? Let me connect you with this guy who's doing this, you know? So there's just like this incredible infrastructure where
It takes a village.
Yeah, 100%. So that's one thing I'm learning. And like social media, yeah, if you know how to do it, you'll do the same thing. But not everybody's. There's too many distractions. Like, you know, I open Instagram and I'm on Reels immediately. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So
you don't even remember why you opened it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's nice to have that, like, for sure. Yeah, I think it's important for everybody.
What would you say is your purpose, and how does that align with what you're doing here?
So I think my purpose, one, is I need to be creative and like following the ideas that come into my head, because the way I see it, it's like an amana, you know, it's like a trust. Like when you have an idea for something, you don't even come up with it, you know, it kind of comes to you.
Yeah.
And so to put those things off is kind of it's an injustice to yourself and like to the world. So one, just trying to follow my intuition and like those ideas that come to me. What was the question one more time?
What is your purpose, and how does that align with what you're building here?
So the one thing that I wanted to make sure I was doing was like representing who I am as a Muslim, firstly, with the arts and like the curatorial work that I do. Because in the past that wasn't really coming into play. Yeah, I'd step out to pray, you know, like, but it was always like in the cut, or like
it was in the background.
Yeah, it's just in the background, and I never really used it to inform the work that I was doing. So now, like, I think one is like da'wah is really important to me. I want to make sure that I'm carrying myself in a way that, you know, people can look at it and say, oh, okay, he's doing this because he's Muslim, you know, like the
tying it to your.
Exactly. So it's not even about, oh, he's just like that. It's like, no, this is where I get it from. Like, this is my foundation, and this is why I do the things that I do. So I wanna make sure everything that I do, it always comes back to that, you know, to that notion of Islam, and like I'm, you know, like this is really what's important to me. So, you know, art is cool, writing is cool, but like that's not my purpose. It's just like the means, you know what I'm saying? Like it's the platform that I'm using, because everybody has their own platform, you know.
Definitely. The last thing I want to ask you touched on something that really stuck with me, and you said you got a call from your brother, and when you got that call, you said hearing something, sometimes it's who you hear it from. Tell me what it means to have a role model figure like that, like a big brother, whether it's your biological brother or somebody like that, and what role that can play in somebody who's a youth or coming up right now.
You know, I actually think about that a lot. One thing that I always reflect on is this art show that we did back in 2019 with Henry, where it was, I think it's...
Was that the Drive-By Say Hi one?
Drive By Say Hi, yeah. It was like one of the first times I saw like one of us do a show here in the city, and like kind of just exposing people to this different avenue of like expression and like what you can do. And I just remember right after that, like so many kids like in the community started picking up cameras and like started doing creative things, and you know, they look to Henry for that, you know, as inspiration. And you know, Henry is like he's an open book as well. He's always going to be ready to talk about it and fuel you and inspire you. And so with the case of my brother, like I think everybody really needs that, because if it was just me, like, you know, knowing where my heart goes sometimes, or like what I'm inclined towards, I probably would have destroyed myself a long time ago. But having somebody to really ground you, who you respect, and like who understands you, like where you come from and who you are, I think that's something that's instrumental. Like I don't find people often who I can look towards for that inspiration, but when I do, it's something that I really hold on to.
You said your brother did that for you. Henry did that for a lot of the youth in the community. What's a message that you have for the youth who are looking to you?
It's funny because, like, you never really think about that. Like, we're all like stuck in our journey that we don't really think anybody's looking to us. So I think firstly, like, don't be fooled by what the world is telling you. Like God is real. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't. It's really hard to get through things when you're not connecting with the Creator. And even if it's like the faith that you grew up on, like there's a lot of benefit in one believing in something above humans, because nowadays, like, in the Quran it says, like, have you seen the person who takes their desires as their Lord? Like American culture is kind of that right now, where whatever you're inclined towards, it's a free world, just do it. Like
if it can be what controls you.
Exactly, it can be what controls you. And on top of that, like, we have a government, and like we have, it's a democracy. So what becomes allowable is always changing, and you're not, you might feel inclined towards something, but the world might be telling you otherwise. But in a few years, it might be telling you the opposite. And it's like, okay, what's right and what's wrong? You feel me? So I think that's like one of the most pertinent, like most important things that I kind of would want the youth to know, because that's gonna inform everything else you do in your life. Like, if you don't have that grounding in, like, a moral, like a moral system that is not constantly changing, because we get to vote on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we get to vote on what's morally acceptable. Then nothing's gonna faze you anymore. Like, you're gonna look at what's going on around us and be able to interpret it and understand, like, oh, this isn't real. Like, because that's a lot of the reason people are struggling right now is,
what is real?
Yeah, what's real? Like, it's a trip. So it's like, for me, it's not even about, express yourself, like, follow your passion, like none of that. It's like, no, start with the,
ground zero.
Ground zero, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need to start there and then build up. And when you're in tune with the reality of things and the reality of the world and, like, God, and connecting with what's not, what you can't see with your eyes, what you feel inside, rather, then where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing will naturally come together.
That's amazing. Thank you, Bilal.
Yeah, bro, for sure. Thank you.